Hello, welcome back once more. My name is Anthony Manuel. We are back to this ERPNext Frappe workflow creation. Please do subscribe to this channel so you can receive new video updates. Furthermore, we're going to head straight into developing or creating a new workflow, starting from where we left off in the previous tutorial. You can locate the workflow or creating a workflow from either of these buttons here, but I do prefer to quick awesome bar. Click on workflow list in order to create a workflow. And what I intend to do is create a workflow for the property. We've been working on this estate app, although you can create it in any of your documents, but I'm going to use the estate app we'll be using for the development to create our workflows. Okay, I have list of properties, and in the property, I want before a workflow, a document is allowed to be completely created or submitted. I want it to go through a workflow. Earlier, we've created some features in it such that you have this information. We worked on the mapping. You can check the previous videos for how to get data from this map, which I'm not really interested in moving into at the moment. Okay, and that just all I want is whenever I create a new document, property document, I want it to go through some stage. Instead of having just this save button, it should go from save to some other states. Then at the end of the day, this document becomes submittable. But at first, um, we're gonna walk through some things. Although this our document is not submittable at the moment, I just have to edit this doc type since I'm still in development and edit it and make it a submittable document first. Yeah, scroll down to the doc type and check this is submittable and save. If your document is already submittable, then there is no need, although it is not necessary for your document to be in submittable mode in order for you to create a workflow. And that will be it. Now we are in a workflow. I want to create a new workflow. Click on create your first workflow or create workflow or add workflow. Now I'm give it name. I'll only just call it property. Since I'm in a workflow, I do not need to just ask property workflow. Then document type becomes that is the doc type property. When you click on it, it should pop up with list of available documents with the name which you have fed into this place. Yeah, estate property. Is active means once this workflow is created, it should be applied or functional in the document. Then this don't override status. If checked, workflow status will not override status in this view. Means the document status is itself where you have something like draft and some other things, but I'm not going to check this. And send email notification, I'm going to uncheck it for the now. Here are the workflow states. Here are the transition states, or here's the transition states, and this last one is the workflow state field. um Before I kind of create this workflow, I want to show you that this workflow state is not a field in our property documents. And to do that, I'm going to launch my bench MariaDB. Select asterisk from tab property. Okay, this is too much. I'm gonna quit this and just use describe tab property. This should describe the fields. And you see the fields we have name, creation, modified, owner, parent field, property name, user tag assigned. Just look at it very well. City and map. There is no workflow field here. Okay, exit that. Next, we'll check the field called um, custom fields as well. Before creating a workflow, I want to show you that this field is not here. You can type on property. Now you see there is no custom field for property, and then just okay. We can move straight into the workflow. First off, I want to define states. I want the workflow to move just through three states. I want it once it's created, the state becomes drafts. After once it's on draft, it should move to approval status, and approval status should be approved. Okay, the first stage should be draft. If draft is not available in the system, you can create it using this create button, create new states, and the state to be draft. You can edit it further to give it a styling. Some button color, you see the styling representation. You have green for success, red for danger, inverse for black, primary for dark blue, info for light blue, warning orange. So I'm going to just leave it on drafts. I'll use this warning orange style to be warning. Save. Just to style the button, that's all. My first state to be draft. Once the document is created, it should be on drafts. Okay, click back. Okay, draft. When it's on draft, the document should not be submitted. And you want to update any fields. I do not want to update any field now until it is updated. And allowed only for who should be able to create. You can say all users, or you can create a specific user who should create that document. Could be I could create a row and give the row property users. But for the now, I'm just going to allow to make this quick. I'm going to allow all users to create. The next stage should be pending approval. This state has not been created. You can create on the create new button and select a styling for it. I'm going to give it um inverse. And what's inverse? Black. Save. Well, I had no idea why it brought me back here. When it's on pending approval, I want only someone with manager to approve. And the next state is approved. And once it's approved, I want this document to be submitted. So it goes to status one. And I want a field to also be updated. Which status field? Which field should I change? Okay, I'm just going to change this discount field. Part 10. Allow only for so you specify the role that should be able to edit this document. Although I'm going to use my admin for testing, so you should be able to pass all these specific states. Then the next should be cancelled. No cancelled yet. We're going to create cancelled. Cancel status should be 2. I have to create role for this property, call it property user, property manager, property director, but does not matter. We just in kind of a tutorial section. Then I also want to create role for reject. And reject should be before approved. Or it could be in any order anyway, but for now it should be before approved because we have the status as 0 and allow for HR manager. Okay, now this is the most important part of the workflow. Here is just to define the states and what happens in that state and the status of the document status. Here defines the transition, how we move from one state, moving from draft to pending to rejected and the others. So here the first state is draft. Now the action, what should we see? What should we see on the bottom here? Action. Since we are on draft, we want to move to pending approval. I'm going to add the name to be make the name to be send for approval. Now from this draft state, where should they move to? Should they move to rejected? Should they move to approved? Should they move to cancelled? Or should they move to any other states? So it's going to move to what? Pending approval as the next state. Pending approval. And who should be able to click the button? Who should be able to click this send for approval button? Anybody, whoever created it or anybody, we want everybody should be able to approve it. And is there any specific condition we want? For the now, I'm not interested in the condition. We are going to the basics first. Later on, we'll go into advanced workflow. Now, from this pending approval, the next action should be what? Approve. And from approve, it should move to what state? Approved. Should be able to do that. Now, what about moving from drafts to rejected? If you reject, if you don't want that to proceed, send for approval. The next state is what? You want it to be rejected. You can the approval can decide that I don't want this to proceed anymore. I want to reject it based on specific reasons. But we should be able to do that. We still want the HR manager. Okay, so mean that from draft you can move to approval, or from draft you can move to rejected. And sometimes once it gets to this rejected, we don't want this to continue anymore. Or we can still move from rejected back to what? Sent to approval after modification. Now from pending approval, we should be able to move to Yeah, from pending approval, move to approved, or we can move from what rejected. Should be able to, it should allow you to be able to send. Okay, now let's get rid of it first. Let's stick to this three stage. From draft, we say send for approval, then it says what pending approval, then or we reject. Then once it gets to the manager, then the manager can click what approve. And once you click approve, this document will change to what approved. And the next state, you can move it to what once it's unapproved. What else do you want to do when it's unapproved? Because on this approved, the status is one, and one means submitted. We can decide to what cancel that document. Once cancelled, they should move to what state cancelled. And that's all we want for the now. We want nothing more. You can save. Now, take a look at this message. It says created custom field workflow state in property. Let's check the custom fields. Now you see it's already at it was just created now. There's no date on it. You click here, you see what the description is. The document was created in is what property, and the type is link, and it's linking to what workflow state with a label. You can see it's hidden, you can't see it, you cannot print it from your documents. And that is it. If you check through the database as well, you can also see it. Tab describe. You scroll down, you should be able to see. Now you see workflow created in the database. But previously there was no workflow. The last was amended from. But here you see workflow states. Here we can skip this custom fields. Go back to the workflows and you see it here. It's already active. You can try to create a new document or preview an existing document to see the difference. Now you see the status has changed to draft. You can see it here, though it's not very looking clear. You see the status is already on draft. You can see the color as well. And here it says submit because we have not reloaded this page. So we need to reload this page in order for this action to show. Now, after reloading the page, you can see the button here, action button is now visible. Now take a look. The action says send for approval. You can check through our workflow. When a document is created, it will be on draft. From draft, it has a button, action button that says send for approval, and that is what you see on the action button. If I'm not missing it, okay, on the action button here, it says send for approval. And once you click on send for approval, it either moves to that is from draft, it either moves to pending approval, or from draft you can use okay, not send for approval. We made a mistake here. Please take note of that. We made a mistake. Here should not be sent for approval. Here should be reject. Reject. Here should be reject. We save this again to update. Can reload this. Okay. Once the document has reloaded, you can click on this action button and you see the two status. The first one says send for approval and the second one says reject. If you click on send for approval, it will transition to this next state pending approval. If you click on reject, it will transition to what? To rejected. So first we are going to use the reject button. Then an update will occur here and it says, okay, I might just have to, this is coming from one of the code you wrote earlier. that whenever a document is updated, after every update, it just brings this message. I'm going to leave it for the now, but let's focus on the status of the document. Now you see it says the document has been rejected. You can see that. And here is the button I added earlier, a custom button. So once the document is rejected, let's see the next status of that document. Okay, we did not move from any state here. From the transition rule now, there was no transition from reject. That is why at this point, this button is what? There's no action button showing here anymore. Okay, I'm going to use a different button. Sorry, different document to continue. Here is rejected. I'll use this one for the test. Okay, here is this issue is coming because I'm running from a local host. That's why this geolocation issue is coming up. Okay, this is on draft. I'm going to click send for approval. Never mind, take note, I said this is coming from the remote local host. The Google, sorry, the geolocation map is trying to make a remote call and it sees that it's coming from a local IP address. That's why this issue is coming up. Now, this document has been updated and you see it says pending approval. And from here, the status pending from draft, when you click on send for approval, it goes to what pending approval. And from pending approval, it asks you to what click on approve. And once you click on approve, what happens? It goes to what approved. Let's check the document. Click on the action button. Now you see approve, right? You can still append a reject button to this present flow. Here you can still add a reject button when from here you see a button that says reject. Now we might have to add that in order to continue. Can duplicate this status pending approval, rejected. Drop it here, but it does not affect the flow. Just like if it's here, approve will be at the top, reject will be at the bottom. I'm going to save this and reload this document. We've reloaded and record our document is in pending approval. And here we have an action. The first says approve, the second says reject because we added two status here. From once is in pending approval from this transition rule, we want to have both approve and reject. If you reject, it just says rejected and nothing will happen from here. But if it says approve, it moves to approved. And in approved, it says this document should be what submitted. And this address should be changed to 10. Let's see what the address is. We have an address here that was collected when you click on any address here. You select. So we want this value of address to change to 10. We'll see how that works. So I'm going to approve the document. Let's see what happens. So our document has been approved. Now you see approved is on green. Check the address fields. There's the address fields. Now you see the address field has changed to 10. You can see it right here. Completely changed. So now you see how the flow moved. Now let's check through it again. On approved, change this address field to 10. And once it's in approved, you can also move, let's see, from approved. You can also try to cancel that document. Let's see if the status shows there. You see an action that says cancel. When you click on this document will automatically be cancelled. It will move from status 1, which is submitted, to 2, which that stays cancelled. Okay, I'm going to cancel this document. I think I click cancel. Yeah, see cancelled, and now it shows the default amend button, meaning that this document can no longer be saved or modified. Instead, you can only duplicate it and make it available for use in a new document. And you can check through the list of properties and you see the status as cancelled. Right from the workflow status, 2, once you click on cancel, it moves to stage 2, and that is the end of that document lifecycle. And I hope you understood how this workflow works. In the coming videos, we'll explore more advanced workflow using the conditions and at the same time working on sending email alert. Although at some point it's kind of a little tricky to set up email from the notification, but I'm going to show you how to programmatically send out email based on who you specifically want to receive that email. Thanks for watching. I hope you do understand. Please ask your question and I will gladly reply you. At the same time, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed so you can receive new updates on every video made available. Thank you.